Welcome to episode 15 of Run the Length. Before we get into the episode, two quick things. First, go check out my Patreon, where you can get access to early and exclusive content, as well as custom status effects tokens, like the ones I use in this video. Second, YouTube is changing how the partner program works, and it boils down to, I need 1,000 subscribers to stay in the program, so if you haven't subscribed yet, could you hit the subscribe button? It'd help me out a lot. My opponent this week is Guild Ball World Champion Alex Bots. Alex hosts Strictly the Worst Guild Ball podcast and is known for being one of the best, if not the best, Guild Ball player in the world. Speaking of rankings, at the time of this recording, I am ranked 3rd in the United States and 6th in the world. Alex is ranked 1st in the US and 1st in the world. We select plots. My plots are Sick'em, Knee Slider, Man Marking. Alex's plots are Field Dressing, Brace for Impact, Match Fixing. I lose the roll and Alex chooses to kick from the left side of the pitch. Blacksmiths are fairly strange in their kickoff choices, largely due to how strong Alloy's kickoff threat is. Here, Alex didn't want me to have all the cover that the left side of the field provided, and when he kicks, he is putting pressure on the farmers instead of Thresher putting pressure on his team. My 10 is Grange, Thresher, Buckwheat, Peck, Bushel, Fallow, Harrow, Jackstraw, Millstone, and Tater. Alex has Alloy, Bolt, Burnish, Cast, Cinder, Ferris, Ferrite, Furnace, Hearth, and Iron. We reveal Captain and Mascot. I choose Grange and Peck, while Alex chooses Ferrite and Iron. I picked Grange here mostly due to receiving. When I have the ball, teams have to come to me instead of having to try to chase them down with Thresher. Alex's Ferrite pick is no surprise here. While Blacksmiths literally have the most captain options, they have the fewest competitively viable captains. Ferrite is the best captain in faction hands down, and Iron is also an incredibly strong piece that gets better when you take Ferrite. I start the draft by picking Tater. Tater is a staple of farmers. He's part of Grange's puzzle box, bringing countercharge to defend it. He is also one of the highest damage output models in the guild. Alex drafts Hearth. Hearth is a one-woman tar pit. With reach and easy access to knockdowns, she can gum up other players, while Use This and Instruction are incredibly powerful character plays. I draft Millstone. Millstone is maybe the best player in the faction. The condition-taking aura is absurd. She brings 3 influence and drops a harvest marker without any conditions attached to it. Alex picks Alloy. Alloy is insane. He is better Vitriol, and has a ton of great support to help him do crazy things. A must-take. I draft Harrow. Harrow's healing aura is really strong, and tooled up is always welcome. He's a bit fragile, but that is why we hide in our insane overlapping synergies. Alex picks Furnace. Furnace is good, brings tooled up, and is quite hard to kill. I draft Fallow. I debate drafting Bushel as a good way to kill the ball. Her having 5-1 defenses while near Harrow can make it difficult to tackle the ball off of her. I decide to go with Fallow since having to attack her can make his activations difficult, and he has multiple ways to get around the 5-1 of Bushel, Anatomical and Instruction being the ones that come to mind first. Alex finishes his draft by picking Cast. Alex told me after the game that he thought this pick was a bit of a mistake. He was thinking that Cast would be another apprentice that can threaten the ball, and threaten to kill people as well. But he just did not have the influence to fuel all the apprentices, since he needed to use the masters to pick apart the prison. The terrain on this map is fast ground at the top, then moving down we have 2 obstacles, a barrier, a forest, and another obstacle at the bottom. Alex deploys from top to bottom. We have Iron, Furnace, Hearth, Alloy with the ball, Ferrite, and Cast at the bottom. I deploy. I have Fallow at the top, and moving down we have Tater, Grange, Millstone, Harrow, and Peck. My deployment is a bit of a mistake here, since I don't put Harrow within 4 inches of Grange for the free harvest marker. Alex kicks the ball off and it scatters in front of Grange, then rerolls the kick, and it lands right back in practically the same spot. I allocate. I place 4 on Tater, 3 on Grange, 3 on Millstone, 1 on Harrow, and 1 on Peck. The plan is to get the ball with Grange, and get it to Peck so that I can use the forest to protect the ball, then spend the rest of the turn setting up Grange's puzzle box. Alex allocates. He places 4 on Iron, 4 on Alloy, 1 on Furnace, 2 on Hearth, and 1 on cast. I activate Grange. I sprint to the ball and over to within 4 inches of Harrow, so that he can get his free harvest marker when he activates. Grange kicks the ball to Peck, Grange drops his harvest marker, and puts Constitution on himself. Alex activates Ferrite and pops Legendary. It hits the entire team. She then jogs up and pulls Iron with her. I activate Harrow and place his harvest marker. My positioning is going to get very awkward if I go tool up Tater, so I just put it on Millstone, then jog up. Hearth activates, jogs up, and puts Use This on Iron and Instruction on Alloy. I activate Fallow and jog her up to the cover. Alex activates Furnace and jogs him up, then puts Tooled Up on Iron. I activate Millstone and drop her harvest marker. She puts Get in the Goal on herself and jogs to within 4 inches of the goal. Cast sprints up the pitch. Peck sprints near the goal. This is a bit of a mistake. I should have jogged since I only went 6 and used Cocky on someone. Alex activates Alloy, takes 2-inch melee from Hearth, and jogs to engage Tater and Fallow. Alex attacks Fallow because he has to. He rolls only 1 hit, but since he has Instruction, he has 3 net hits. He chooses Dirty Knives on Fallow, then applies Hobble from Ferrite's feet. He attacks again, doing a Dirty Knives on Tater, applying Hobble again. I trigger between a rock and jog to base with Alloy. Alex uses Acrobatic to dodge away from Fallow. He makes his final attack and does 3 damage. He then uses Back to the Shadows to dodge back to the team. I activate Tater. Since I am hobbled, I can't get to anyone on his team, so I jog him up, hoping to protect Grange and Fallow while staying outside of Iron's jog range. Tater removes conditions. This is a misplay for a few reasons. I don't check to see if I am completely within 4 inches of Grange, and healing Tater prevents me from making a relevant counterattack or Death Stance. Iron charges Grange and does a knockdown double push. I take the knockdown on Millstone. His second attack does knockdown. His last attack does 4 damage. This ends the turn. Blacksmiths are leading the momentum race 4-0, and Alex wins the roll, choosing to go first. Harrow's aura heals my entire team 2, then Fallow takes poison. Alex allocates, placing 4 on Alloy, 4 on Iron, 1 on Furnace, and 3 on Ferrite. I allocate with 5 on Grange, 1 on Fallow, 4 on Tater, 1 on Harrow, and 1 on Peck. This is a bit of a mistake. I should have picked up one of the harvest markers for another influence. Alex activates Ferrite. She uses Get Over Here on Iron to dodge him away from Grange. She jogs to melee with Grange and attacks him, disarming him. Her second attack does Momentous Push Dodge. She dodges away from Grange and pushes him towards Alloy. Ferrite then uses Acrobatic to dodge away from Grange. I activate Peck. I unsnap the ball in front of my goal, then jog up the pitch. Peck uses his Heroic to stand Grange and Millstone. Grange dodges towards Fallow, putting him back in range to trigger Between a Rock. Alex activates Alloy, taking 2-inch melee from Hearth's arsenal. Jogs within 1 inch of Grange and attacks him, doing a Dirty Knives to Grange. This removes Cocky and triggers Fallow's jog. She moves to base contact with Alloy. Now Alloy can only attack Fallow. Alloy attacks Fallow, doing a Momentous Dodge, moving away from Grange. He attacks her again and does another Momentous Dodge, leaving Grange's melee zone. His last attack at Fallow throws a Dirty Knives onto Fallow. Alloy uses Back to the Shadows to dodge away. I activate Grange and jog to melee with Iron and Ferrite. I buy an attack at Iron, doing Momentous Knockdown. I buy an attack at Ferrite and bonus time the attack, doing a Momentous Knockdown. I hardcast Honest Labor and Constitution on Grange. He drops his harvest marker between Fallow and Peck. Alex activates Furnace and jogs to engage Fallow and Grange, then tools up Iron. I consider activating Fallow here and taking a bunch of 6-die attacks at Iron, but since I can only pick up 1 harvest marker, I decide to wait another turn and go with Harrow. Harrow places his harvest marker next to Peck and jogs to engage Ferrite, Furnace, and Iron. He tools up Fallow. Alex activates Iron and plays Field Dressing to stand himself and Ferrite. He walks to base with Harrow and Grange and bumps both of them back with Battering Ram. Then he attacks Grange. I declare a counterattack. Iron double pushes Grange away. He attacks Harrow and does 5 damage. He attacks again, doing 5 damage. His last attack does a double push, moving him so that he is still engaged by furnace and iron. I activate Fallow and eat 2 harvest markers for 4 influence. She jogs up to iron and attacks him. Alex declares a counterattack. Since iron has double push on 1, I need to hit the knockdown here, and I am about 73% to get there. I miss it, scoring only 1 hit, and I push him into Grange's melee, giving him worse odds to hit his counterattack. Iron's counter does double push, pushing Fallow out of melee. Alex activates Cast and sprints her towards the goal. I activate Tater and jog up to Iron, and attack him doing Momentous 2 through his Tough Hide. Tater attacks again, doing Momentous 3. Tater's third attack does 3 damage, and his final attack wraps to the 1, doing 4 damage and gaining 2 momentum. Alex activates Hearth and jogs to engage Harrow and Fallow. I activate Millstone. She picks up the ball and jogs up, then drops it to Tater. She places her harvest marker just above her. This ends the turn. The momentum race is tied 5-5, and Alex wins the roll to go first. Poison ticks down, and Harrow's aura heals my team. Alex chooses to activate first and moves on to allocation. He places 4 on alloy, 4 on iron, and 4 on ferrite. I allocate. I pick up 3 harvest markers to gain 3 extra influence. I place 6 on Grange, 1 on Fallow, 4 on Tater, 2 on Harrow, 1 on Millstone, and 1 on Peck. Alex activates ferrite and uses Get Over Here Iron to pull him out of combat. Ferrite jogs to melee with Grange and attacks him. I declare a counterattack. Alex does a disarm. My counterattack does a knockdown. I was hoping to push here to force her to acrobatic back in. I was fairly likely to do it since I had 2 gang ups. Alex uses a momentum to stand Ferrite back up and attacks Grange again. She does a double dodge. His third attack does a momentous disarm. Her final attack does a momentous push dodge. Ferrite dodges into the forest. Alex heals Iron. I activate Grange and jog to engage Iron and Ferrite. I attack Iron, missing the attack. I attack again, doing a momentous knockdown. I attack Iron again, doing momentous 2 damage. I attack Iron again, bonus timing the roll, and do a momentous honest labor. I attack Ferrite and miss. With his last influence, Grange puts up Constitution on Fallow. He uses his legendary play to drop 2 harvest markers and puts up the Sturdy aura. Then he drops his harvest marker for the turn. Alex activates Alloy and takes 2-inch melee from Hearth. Alloy charges Tater. I declare a defensive stance and a counterattack. Alloy hits a harvest marker on the charge, and he destroys it. Alloy tackles the ball off of Tater. Tater's counterattack misses. Alloy attacks Tater again, doing a momentous dodge. Alloy shoots the goal and hits it. He then uses Run the Length to dodge behind the wall. Score is now 4-0. I kick the ball in, and Tater picks up the ball. I activate Tater and drop the ball to Peck. Tater jogs to melee with Furnace and Iron. Tater attacks Iron, doing 2 damage. He attacks again, doing 2 damage again. His third attack does a momentous mowdown, knocking down only Furnace and Iron due to the Sturdy aura. His last attack momentously kills Iron. Score is now 4-2. Alex activates Furnace, forfeits movement to stand up, pops his legendary, and puts down 1 at a time, lads. I activate Harrow and place his harvest marker. I illegally place it 4 inches away. I jog around Furnace and attack him and miss. Alex activates Hearth and jogs up to Fallow. I activate Fallow and pick up 2 harvest markers with Making Hay. Fallow attacks Hearth, double pushing her away. She jogs to base contact with Furnace and attacks him, doing momentous 2 damage. This result selection is a mistake, since I don't realize she has a push on 1 to move him into range of Honest Labor. She attacks Furnace again, doing a push. Her next attack does momentous 4 damage. Her last attack wraps by 1, doing 8 damage and making 2 momentum. She heals herself. Alex jogs Cast behind Peck. I activate Peck, play Sick'em, and kick the ball to Millstone with bonus time. The kick is good, and I have Millstone dodge 4 inches, then Peck charges Furnace. When I make this play, I forget about 1 at a time, lads, so it is significantly less strong than I thought it would be. But Peck still manages to do 4 damage and make 2 momentum. Millstone activates and heals Harrow. She kicks the ball to Grange, then jogs to melee with Furnace, taking a parting blow from Hearth, who does 1 damage. This ends the turn. Farmers lead the momentum race 8-0, and I choose to go first. Harrow's aura heals my whole team. I pick up 1 harvest marker for an extra influence, then allocate, placing 6 on Grange, 4 on Tater, 1 on Fallow, 1 on Harrow, and 1 on Peck. I feel like I am in a very commanding position now, even though I am down 2 points. But it came at a cost. I started last turn up nearly 7 minutes on clock, and now I am down 3 minutes. Time is going to be tight if I am going to grind out the rest of my points. Alex allocates. He places 4 on Alloy, 3 on Cast, 4 on Ferrite, and 2 on Hearth. He jogs Iron back on the field. I activate Grange and attack Furnace, putting up Honest Labor. Grange's second attack wraps, kills Furnace, and generates 3 momentum. The score is now 4-4. Grange's third attack goes at Ferrite and misses. I bonus time his fourth attack, and it does a momentous knockdown. Grange kicks the ball to Harrow and misses the kick. Grange jogs up to the ball and kicks it to Harrow again. He dodges 4 inches. I forget to drop Grange's harvest marker. Alex activates Cast and charges Tater, killing a harvest marker in the process. The charge does 2 damage to Tater. She attacks again and does 2 damage, then dodges 1 inch with swift strikes. I activate Tater and attack Cast. Alex declares a counterattack. Tater does a mow down, knocking down Peck and Cast. Tater attacks Cast again and does Momentous 2. His third attack does 2 damage. His last attack does 2 damage. Tater heals himself, then jogs to reach of Cast. Alex activates Ferrite. She glides and sprints towards Harrow, then uses Acrobatic to get out of Tater and Grange's melee zones. She attacks Harrow, and I counter. She tackles the ball. I bonus time my counterattack and only do 1 damage. Ferrite passes the ball with bonus time to Hearth. I activate Peck and Heroic, standing himself in Millstone. They can both dodge 1 inch, but I only move Peck. Peck puts Cocky on Millstone and jogs to base with Hearth. The idea here is to make it difficult for Hearth to move the ball, since she can't knock down Peck, and taking a parting blow is risky. The only option he has is to take a kick while engaged. Alex activates Hearth. She jogs around Peck and attacks the bird. He gets 4 hits and is able to double push Peck away. Hearth drops the ball to Alloy and attacks Peck again, doing a momentous double push again, but leaves Peck in place. I activate Millstone and jog her to melee with Ferrite, then place her harvest marker. Alex jogs Iron back toward the fight. I activate Harrow, drop his harvest marker, then jog inside Fallow's aura. Alex activates Alloy. Alloy gains 2 inch melee for activating near Hearth, and attacks Peck doing a Dirty Knives. I trigger Pain Response and dodge Peck away. The poison counter never gets placed here on Peck, and we forget about it. Alloy jogs and acrobatics to within range of the goal. Alloy attacks Peck doing a momentous dodge. He shoots the goal with bonus time, and it is good. The score is now 8-4. I kick the ball back in by Tater, and it scatters near Fallow. I activate Fallow and use Make Hay to add 4 influence to her. She jogs over to Ferrite, picking up the ball on her way, and attacks her. Alex declares a counterattack. Fallow's attack does a momentous knockdown. I attack her again, doing a double push, moving her into Grange's melee. Fallow takes her third attack, wrapping by 2, doing 8 damage and making 2 momentum. She attacks again, generating 2 momentum and killing Ferrite. The score is now 8-6. Fallow kicks the ball to Harrow. Harrow dodges to cover. This ends the turn. Farmers are leading the momentum race 9-4, and I win the initiative, choosing to go first. Harrow's aura heals everyone except for Peck. I allocate and place 6 on Grange, 2 on Harrow, 4 on Tater, and I clock out, giving me just 4 activations to win the game. Alex allocates. He places 3 on Furnace, 4 on Alloy, 3 on Hearth, and 4 on Ferrite. I activate Grange and drop my harvest marker to turn Tater's countercharge back on. Grange jogs to melee with Cast and attacks, doing momentous 2 damage. His second attack does momentous 3 damage. His third attack kills her momentously, Score is now 8-8. Grange buys honest labor and puts Constitution on Harrow. Alex scores from my clockout. Score is now 9-8. Alex activates Alloy and gains 2-inch melee from Hearth, then uses acrobatics and jogs to get to Harrow. Alloy attacks Harrow, and I declare a counterattack. Alloy does a momentous dodge to base with Harrow. He manages to get to the cover and be out of Tater's melee range. I bonus time my counterattack and push him back into Tater's melee range. Alloy attacks again and dodges again. Alloy's third attack does a momentous dodge. I score from Alex's clockout. Score is now 9-9. I activate Tater and jog to melee with Alloy, and attack, doing 2 damage. Tater attacks again, doing 2 damage. Alex declares a counterattack on Tater's third attack. Tater's attack misses. Alloy's counterattack does a double dodge towards Tater. Tater takes his last attack on Alloy, doing 2 damage. This is a bit of a mistake. I think it would have been better to pull Alloy into Grange for the honest labor buff later in the turn. Also, not charging with Tater was a mistake for sure. I end Tater's activation. The score is now 10-9. Alex activates Furnace and charges Harrow. I declare a defensive stance and a counterattack. The charge does 1 momentous damage and lights Harrow on fire. Harrow misses his counterattack. Furnace puts down 1 at a time lance. Alex forgets to spend his last influence off of Furnace due to clock pressure. He passes the turn back to me. Score is now 10-10. I activate Millstone and drop her Harvest Marker and walk over to crowd out Alloy. I think this is a pretty large mistake. I should have gone with Harrow and taken attack on Alloy and tooled up Fallow, because if I can hit the 2, I can push Alloy into Grange and tool her up. Then Fallow becomes very likely to kill Alloy. Score is now 11-10. Alex activates Hearth and pops her legendary. I defensive stance since I am worried about him pushing me out of range of these Harvest Markers. Hearth knocks Fallow down. Hearth attacks again with bonus time and only hits a single push, so Fallow stays in range of the Harvest Markers. Hearth heals Alloy. Score is now 11-11. I activate Fallow, pick up the 2 Harvest Markers for 4 influence, spend a momentum to remove conditions, and jog to Alloy. The plan here is to take the knockdown from the parting blow on Millstone and kill Alloy. Alex bonus times the parting blow. Hearth manages to wrap to the 1 and chooses 2 knockdowns, ending my activation. Final score, 12-11. This post-game analysis is made possible by the Patreon support of viewers like you. This game was super close, and the clock dictated a lot of how the endgame played out. I built up a big lead on the clock early, but I spent nearly all of it to get past the very strong turn 1 that Blacksmiths have. I think I tried to play the ball too much. I was keeping it inside Grange's death ball to force Alex to bring players to me rather than having to chase them down. Perhaps I should have put the ball on Peck and tried to hide it in the corner. I'm really looking forward to playing more farmers. I think they are one of the most mechanically difficult guilds to play, since they have all these tiny interactions that fit together into this really interesting prison-style team. But here I'd like to pass the question on to you. What were our mistakes this game? Would you have made different decisions during the game? Let me know in the comments down below. Hit that like button, it helps other Guild Ball players find this video. Hit the subscribe button to know the moment I upload a new video, and share this with your friends. I'm Vincent Curkov, and this has been Run the Length.